very first things firstly, I know I'm not the first to say this to you, but may I add my name to the list of those who've congratulated you on your Grammy nomination as producer of, and I listened to this album, it is so wonderful. It's such a good feeling, the best of Mr. Rogers album. I mean, speaking of good feelings, is there any way you can put that into words for us, what it feels like to be recognized for such a great effort?
There isn't, but I can say that, when people say, oh, it's all about being honored, it's kind of true, or nominated. I mean, but working with CHERYL and Michael, two people I adore and respect, to share that is incredible.
Yeah, a team effort.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything in Omnivore is a team effort. But we, I wouldn't have thought it.
Well, listening to the album, not surprised.
Yeah, it's Mr. Rogers. Come on. We all grew up with that. It's very important that music is still in our lives. And to be part of bringing it back is like, it was cool enough. We did it.
Right.
The fact that people went like, yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, the fact that tomorrow, like the closing theme had never been released.
Wow.
Until,
holy smokes. I never thought of it, but yeah.
Like we do kind of fun things.
My gosh, it must have driven you crazy when they pushed the Grammy Awards up to March 14th. You were probably already in. There's that knot tightening in your stomach when you find I have to wait a few more months.
It didn't tighten much more because I didn't expect it. So when it happens, it happens. I'm sure my mother was like, I told people January. So, there's that.
Yeah. Well, a few more weeks. And you'll get the good news. I went through I don't know about you, Lee, but I went through a phase where, I guess in my middle teens, late teens, when I thought Mr. Rogers was like so uncool. I loved him as a kid, but now as I'm older, I mean, I can't watch a video on YouTube without tears coming to my eyes. What a wonderful man he was. And I'm so glad that you and the rest of your team released this album.
Well, cheers to Morgan Neville, who did the doc, and he won the Grammy and Oscar for 50 Feet from Stardom.
Oh, what great work!
He's like a super good dude, and so CHERYL and her wife Audrey went to a screening, and between the tears, CHERYL works in this way. She's like, soundtrack. And they, there's a score, which is also nominated. But it just like, nobody thought that we needed that. CHERYL kind of pumped that through and said, yeah, we do. And do you have other things? And do you have, and it happened the way it happened. And,
23 tracks, Lee.
Oh, well, yeah. And I mean, there's
all with a message.
Yeah. He just, the songs, the reason why I think we all like the show is it was safe and fun and you could learn something. And then when you get older, you go like, oh, I'm really learning something there. Yeah. It's, it's a wonderful thing.
It really is.
It's such a good feeling.
Yes, very good. And it really is. And we'll be, our hearts will be with you, Lee, on March 14th.
Well, thank you.
Hey, how did you find out you were nominated? Did something come in the mail? Or?
Well, I was, they were doing a live stream. And I always, since I'm in Indiana, I always screw up the time zone stuff. And So I'm working, and I'm like, okay, I got to remember at like noon, I have to log on to the site. And I was just kind of like wrapped up in work, and Cheryl's wife, Audrey, I get a text, and it's Audrey. And I'm like, Audrey never texts me. And it just said, yay, and a bunch of hearts and stuff. And I'm like, what? Oh! So I went online, and the Grammy site hadn't been updated at that point, but Variety was running things, like, adding things as they came in.
Yeah.
And so I went to Variety, and I'm scrolling down. And, we're, not that we're not important, but we're not one of the sexy nominations. So really early down in the list, I keep scrolling. And then I just saw it, walked upstairs into my wife's office, and I said, holy shit, I'm nominated for a Grammy.
Wow. Oh, how marvelous is that?
It was cool. I mean, It was cool. And then, of course, Cheryl's calling, and Mike sent me a great text, and,
Well, good for you.
For a kid who grew up loving records and an old man who still loves them, it's, like I said, it's just if we win, fantastic. If we don't win, fantastic. Like, I just can't, I can't complain.
To the kid,
my life is pretty damn good.